Imagine being the hottest driver in IndyCar at the moment, and currently sitting third in the standings after getting 2 wins and 5 podiums in the best season of your career, and just receiving the news that you've lost your seat, and that's the unfortunate reality of Christian Lundgaard, and it's probably one of the most bizarre things ever. McLaren have just recently announced their driver lineup for 2027, of Pato O'Ward, Scott Dixon, and Felix Rosenqvist, inherently announcing the departure of Nolan Siegel and Christian Lundgaard. The Siegel move makes sense, and actually he might not be completely gone, which I'll mention later. But Lundgaard is really out, and the team favored a 46-year-old and a driver the team moved on from a few years prior. It's almost as if McLaren isn't wanting a championship, and it's actually optimizing for something entirely different. And as you dig deeper into this, you realize that that is kind of the case. So what is it that McLaren are actually building? And is this baffling decision the right one? Now, I'll be honest, over the past week I've tried to look at this move from every angle possible. And although it starts to make some sense, I can't really decide whether I like it or not. But you're entitled to your own opinion. Lundgaard's season so far has been more than adequate, and other than Alex Palou, who McLaren have already tried to scoop up, he's been the best there is. 2 wins at both the IMS Road Course and Road America, and 2 very close to win moments in both Barber and Mid-Ohio, make it seem even more absurd that McLaren would let him go. It's not like those wins were outliers either, as Lundgaard has definitely been consistent, as he's been on the podium in 6 of the 11 races so far, and he is the leading McLaren in the standings, over his teammate being retained, Pato O'Ward. Speaking of that, if the season were to continue along this trend, that would make Christian Lundgaard the only teammate Pato O'Ward has ever had that beat him at McLaren. The guy's 24, so age or longevity aren't a real concern, and team principal Tony Kanaan even called him extremely talented. So there really isn't anything wrong with Lundgaard. It's just that McLaren is trending in a different way, the Triple Crown. If unfamiliar with the topic, the Triple Crown are the 3 races across the world that are held every year, and held in high regards, being the Monaco GP in Formula 1, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the Indy 500. McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown has repeatedly expressed his desire for winning the Triple Crown, saying, "We've got our eyes firmly set on the championship as well as winning the Indianapolis 500 to secure the Triple Crown in the Papaya era." And conveniently, a big swing into that is coming next year. As we know, McLaren's Formula 1 division has been succeeding recently, specifically last year, where Lando Norris took victory in Monaco, so that checks one leg off. McLaren's also making a return to the hypercar class of the World Endurance Championship next year, so they will be running in Le Mans, and that leaves the Indy 500, which now we've seen the other pieces, it makes more sense as to where their priorities lie. The team changes made make more sense given that information, as both Dixon and Rosenqvist have now won the Indy 500 in the past, and they are consistently solid there, whereas Christian Lundgaard is specifically weaker at ovals compared to his reign at both road and street courses. Including Ryan Hunter-Reay, who will run the 4th entry, you have 3 Indy 500 winners and a guy who has gotten extremely close multiple times. The Triple Crown is definitely a historic and groundbreaking achievement, and it raises the argument as to whether it's worth sacrificing the championship potential for that, which is why it's an actual debate rather than just a good or bad decision. But I want to individually look at each driver involved here first. To begin with, we have Scott Dixon, who definitely isn't anything to scoff at. 6 championships, 59 wins, and second on the all-time wins list, and winning races 23 years in a row. Dixon has every right to be where he is, and that 23 seasons in a row record is at jeopardy currently, as Dixon hasn't won this year, but that could easily change at any point. But a key detail to look at is that it took time to build all those accolades, and with time, Dixon turns 46 this month. Now, I'm not one to unk shame, but I do think it's very well known that Scott Dixon isn't exactly coming to McLaren as a long-term play, as a driver at least. It is very true that he can win races with the team and even make a championship bid, as we know his skill is there, but I just have an inkling in other places. We've seen it with McLaren before, a hiring of a driver nearing the end of their career and transitioning into a personnel role. They did it with Tony Kanaan signing him for the Indy 500 in 2023, and him now being the team principal, and similarly for Ryan Hunter-Reay, who is now the sporting director of the team. Now this is purely speculation from me, and it doesn't really have much behind it, just patterns. But I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing were to occur with Dixon. I mean, something big has to be on offer to leave Ganassi, and whether it is just carrying on the New Zealander legacy of Bruce McLaren, or it's an offer of job security after retirement, it makes a lot of sense as to why Dixon moved, and why it makes sense for Aaron McLaren. On the other hand, Felix Rosenqvist moving to McLaren is a bit more confusing to me. Not because he isn't good, but it's just a bit odd. Rosenqvist was with the team in the past, and out of the 3 teams he's driven for, it's the one that he hasn't scored a win with, and as a matter of fact, with him starting his career at Ganassi and being at Meyer-Shank these last 3 years, those years have seen significantly better results than his time at McLaren, and therefore it brings up the question, is it worth bringing him in at the cost of Christian Lundgaard? The move is obviously one that's aimed at the Indy 500 because in the past, Rosenqvist was very strong in Indy for McLaren, and he also sported some pretty awesome liveries there as well. Tony Kanaan even said that he believes Rosenqvist can win the 500 again immediately after winning it this year, but the question lies within whether that is replicatable. McLaren's a Chevy-powered car, which is opposite to the Honda-powered Meyer-Shank, and Shank is also in a technical alliance with Chip Ganassi, meaning they have more info. As a whole, it's not a bad move if the priority 100% lies in the Indy 500. Now for the final driver that will be on the team in 2027, and the one being retained, Pato O'Ward. O'Ward has been the poster boy for Aaron McLaren for years now, and for good reason, because he has seen success at every level of the sport, he just hasn't reached the very top quite yet. He's already signed through 2027, so it was never a question if he would leave or not, and going forward, it seems as if O'Ward will continue to be Aaron McLaren's ace for the championship. O'Ward has been contested for the first time with Christian Lundgaard right now, and McLaren still views O'Ward as their best option. This could be for a plethora of reasons, but if their priority lies in the Indy 500, like I've said so many times, O'Ward offers way more than Christian Lundgaard. And the fact that O'Ward's not only a championship contender, but he also performs very well on ovals and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. When I've detailed the scenarios of each of these drivers on their own, it makes it a bit questionable. But when you zoom out and look at them as a team, it makes a lot of sense. You have Pato O'Ward, the lead contender for a championship, and the driver that carried the identity of the team for years now. You have Felix Rosenqvist, the most recent Indy 500 winner, looking for redemption at his old team. And finally, you have Scott Dixon, the veteran who's achieved everything there is to achieve, to bring a level of experience no one else can replicate. And that's not to mention Ryan Hunter-Reay at the 500, who too has won it before. On the other hand, the 2 drivers being let go, Christian Lundgaard and Nolan Siegel, too have other options. The most likely landing spot for Lundgaard would be Scott Dixon's old number 9 seat at Ganassi, which would be crazy as it would allow him to have an even better shot at the championship and be amongst the best driver in the series right now. The only other speculative team that he could go to would be a reunion at Rahal Letterman Lanigan, which would also be pretty cool as they have stepped up their game since he left, and it could work out really well. To be honest, it actually seems like both sides of the deal will benefit if Lundgaard does end up landing the CGR seat, because McLaren's eyes shift onto the 500 and they have a much better shot there, and Christian Lundgaard has a better shot at directly competing with Alex Palou. Now for Nolan Siegel, he too has an out. I know Siegel isn't the most popular amongst fans, but he has seen better results recently, and there have been rumors about the OEM charter for Chevy in 2028. The rumors there lie in a technical partnership between McLaren and Juncos Hollinger reuniting, and if that were the case, I wouldn't be surprised if Siegel wound up there, but there definitely would be other competition for that seat as well, so it's definitely not guaranteed. As a whole, this whole deal does make sense from both angles. A team shifting focus to the biggest race of the year, and success across all their divisions, and a driver that can see more success elsewhere and actually gain a better opportunity to win the championship. It definitely is a gamble on both ends, with McLaren putting all of their eggs in one basket, and they could easily come up short. And Lundgaard is most definitely not guaranteed that seat at Ganassi, but I do have a question for you. Does McLaren's eyes for the Triple Crown justify getting rid of one of the hottest drivers in the series right now, and does the experience of Scott Dixon and Felix Rosenqvist offer a real benefit? One thing is for sure, it's going to be the biggest thing to watch for in 2027.